understand how to navigate through the e-learning system so that we are able to move together as a team. So the members that are present today are the members undertaking the writing course and the members also who are undertaking the data analysis course. So for both of those courses, we've already done an open day where we now know what is expected in each, how to navigate through the e-learning system. So we already, sorry for that, we already know what is expected of each of those courses. So today, the task is very simple. It's just to be able to see how to navigate through the system and essentially to also have a session of question and answer on the issues that we could be having so far. And then we are able to progress in that particular manner. Now, the course that we are going to have is divided into 4 portions. The first portion is where you are able to do self-paced learning on the e-learning system. And the e-learning system is what you are seeing here, African Online School of Applied Research Skills. So we already have at least module 1 has been uploaded for each of the 2 courses. So that module is already there. So we shall have self-paced learning so that as you are going through your business in the evening, in the afternoon, when you have 10, 15, 20 minutes, then you are able to log in into the system, either using your phone or using your laptop, or ideally using your laptop, just to be able to see or to go through the content that is there. Then, so that's the first portion, and this one is individual. So each one of you would be expected to do that at your own time. Then number 2, we're going to have individual exercises. Because when we look at the structure of the course, it is competency-based. So we normally say a competency-based approach. The expectation is you are able to get the skill set that is expected of you. So that, for example, the members that are undertaking the writing course, and we say, for you, before you start writing, we want you to have downloaded the materials for your thesis. 10, 15,000 journal articles. So I'm going to demonstrate. The demonstration is done. It's done on the e-learning system. But then there are exercises that you are expected to tackle so that now you can be able to see that you've been able to get the skill set that is expected of you. And that becomes the second component of the course. Then we have the third component, which in the past has become quite a little bit of a challenge to execute, which is the group work. We are meant to have group works. And the group work is where members are able to meet. There is a task to be done, and the expectation is we are able to do those tasks together. So that you can be able to learn. The members from Zambia can be able to learn from the members from Ghana. What are the people in Ghana doing? Or the researchers in Ghana, what are they doing? The researchers in Kenya and so on. So you're able to generate your own perspectives. Apart from what has been taught, you're able to tackle the questions together or the exercises together. And as I have mentioned, that in the past has become a little bit of a challenge in terms of the logistics. You find sometimes, willingness for members to sort of be there for those courses, for that particular section becomes a challenge. But ideally, members ought to, to have group work. Now, the individual sessions and the group work sessions are meant to enable you to create what we call a portfolio of competencies. There are certain skills that essentially you need to have gained. For the members that we are going to do data analysis, we are showing, we are teaching on SPSS. We want to know about process macro. You can't just listen and cram. It can't work that way. You have to be given a task that you execute. And once you execute, you must demonstrate that you executed. That's what a portfolio of competency essentially means. And I will be able to show you some of them in the e-learning of the past students that were able to tackle some of the assignments, right? Remember, as you are attempting the exercises, you get better at it. There are things that look very simple, but when you start doing them, you realize there are a few things you are missing here and there. So, for example, the people that will be doing mass downloading, you find there's somewhere you need to have a colon. So it's not a very difficult thing. It's just a colon and you can see it. But then when you start working, you realize, oh, you keep on forgetting where did we have a comma, where did we have a colon, for example, as we were downloading the content. So there'll be an expectation essentially to undertake the individual assignments, to undertake the group work, and to create a portfolio of competencies. Right? Then finally, the other sections of the work is the facilitator-led revision for each of the modules. So after you've done the self-paced learning on your own, you've done the group work with your team members, you've done the individual assignments, then after that is done, we shall be having a facilitator-led session on a Saturday like this. Typically, this time is when we essentially meet so that we can be able to go through some of the components. Remember, the facilitator session is normally optional for some of the members. They feel they are okay after we've gone through the self-paced and we've gone through the individual exercises and the group work. So they feel they are okay. So if you feel that way, then you may not necessarily need to attend the facilitator-led sessions. And when we also have the facilitator-led sessions, we also record and still put them on the e-learning. So for some of you, when you now go to the e-learning, you will find a Zoom session held on this and that particular day. So everything that we keep on, every session that we shall be having is always recorded and also still put back into the e-learning system so that it's available to you and it's available to the future cohorts that will join that particular session. Good. So unless there is a question there, we can get to knowing how the system works. Unless anyone has a question on what I have covered so far. Now, let's get to understand our e-learning system. Yes, Moses?
I just want to say thank you so much. And
we lost you, Moses.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. So we want to understand the e-learning system. I know some of you have e-learning systems in your respective universities. Either you are on Moodle or you are on Sakai or whatever the e-learning system there is. But I want us to understand this particular one because it has its own unique features that are different from maybe what you'd get in a typical university. So when we look at this website, it has a website and it has an e-learning system within the same website, and we want to learn everything holistically so that you can be able to get a holistic view of these particular AOSAs and the e-learning platform. So we've already accessed aosas.com. So that's the first thing that you access, aosas.com, and it takes you to the homepage. So this is the homepage, and you can see the items there that are on the homepage, and you can take time just to be able to see the items that have already been populated on the homepage. What would be of very critical importance to us is this menu bar that we have on the very top here, that we have the e-courses, and that's basically for other courses that are available that you might want to pursue. But let's get here to ebooks, right? Because I know for the members doing the data analysis, there are certain books that if they want, they can purchase. So when you go to the ebooks, we have books that we've been able, that have been authored by African scholars for use in an African context, right? So for example, for the members undertaking data analysis course, these are some of the books that they could purchase. A guide to linear regression analysis, inverse writing, mediation analysis, moderation analysis, and so on. All right. So under ebooks, you are going to get the books that are available for purchase. Remember, we have the e-repository where we have free books. And for those members undertaking data analysis, you will find that in that work plan, you will be told there is a book for linear regression that you can purchase at 5 USD. So right now, when you check on my system, it is displaying the amounts in Kenya shillings because I'm in Kenya. For the members in Uganda, you need to be able to see this in Uganda shillings. For the members in Ghana, they will see it in cedis and so on. Members in Rwanda, members in Tanzania, and so on. So we are in the process of working for members in Zambia. A little bit of regulatory challenges here and there, trying to get the process working. But we are hopeful by the end of the year, we need to be able to do that. So for some of the select countries, they'll be able to see the amounts in their local currency. 5 USD in your local currency, right? And at that particular point, one thing I need to mention is that the prices that we see in local currency will keep on fluctuating a little bit. Because primarily the website, the prices have been set in US dollars. And then the system has gone in real time to Google Finance and sourced for the exchange rate. In real time, that's the thing to note. In real time, it has gone there and sourced for the exchange rate and converted the USD into the local currency. So what does it mean? Tomorrow you might come and find there's a slight variation either upwards or downwards, dependent on what? Dependent on the prevailing exchange rate at that point in time. So don't ask me why I saw the book is at 808 Kenya shillings. I have gone today, you've added 2 shillings. It's now 810. Or you've added 5 shillings. It's now 815. We need to understand those dynamics of exchange rate. However, if you still want to pay in dollars in these specific countries where it has been converted into the local currency, there's this thing on the very end. You know, on the very end, you will normally find this, that you can be able to use it to change it from the Kenya shillings to USD if you want to pay in dollars, for example. But when you do that, what is the implication of that? When the cost is in Kenya shillings, for example, it means you can pay with the local payment infrastructure. You can pay with M-Pesa, for example. For the people in Uganda, you can use MTN to pay. For the people in Ghana, you can use MTN to pay, for example. But if you change it to USD, then you will get the payment infrastructure associated with USD. So, for example, PayPal or using a card. For the members in the other countries, then this is going to be in USD, and they can pay either on PayPal or using their card. So for each book, if you want to know what it's all about, you can double click on it, and it opens up a small page associated with that book that tells you this book is about XYZ, and this is what the book is all about, and all those kind of things, right? Then once you are satisfied, you're able to click add to cart and follow the prompts until you're able to make your purchases. Good. So that is on the ebooks. Then we have consultancy. For the members that are doing the e-learning, I mean who are doing the writing, I shall need to configure your laptop remotely for mass downloading. I shall need to configure your laptop for mass downloading. So what will you do? You're going to come to consultancy, right? And under consultancy, you can be able to see Vision after making payment. You've already made the payment. Click on this link to schedule time with us. So you're going to click on this link to be able to get a calendar that shows you when am I available to do that? What are the time slots availability to be able to do that, right? So you're going to come and pick a convenient time. Before you pick a time, ensure that the time zone, ensure that you are on the right time zone. So like now, myself in Kenya, I'm going to be on East African time zone. Someone in Nigeria, maybe you are on West Africa. Someone else is on GMT. So you need to ensure before you start looking for time slots, because these ones are made on East African time. So you need to ensure that you have the right time zone, and then you can be able to pick the time that is convenient to you and that is available. All right. And once you click on the time, the system is going to email you the Zoom credentials that you require. And it's going to update my calendar that essentially I need to meet so and so on XYZ date at ABCD time. So it's not manual. It's not something you need to communicate to me on email or on WhatsApp or anything. You just need to come to this particular time slot at this particular scheduling schedule, look for time and schedule for your time. If I'm not available, for example, if for whatever reason something comes up, I'm still going the same link that was sent on my end, because a link will come on my end and come on your end. The same link will somewhere normally return, either cancel or update to another time zone and so on. The same case, if you had booked a certain timeline, a certain time slot, instead of you missing that time slot, if something came up, it is better for you to go and cancel that time slot and reschedule so that it frees that time slot for other members that could also want to pick on it, right? So I have mentioned you come to consultancy and then you're able to click on this particular option. Remember, the same instruction will also be auto-emailed by the e-learning system. I think for all of you, you've seen emails that have been coming your way from time to time, telling you there's a meeting and so on. And we're going to discuss that shortly. I in fact wanted you to experience what you are likely to be experiencing as we get forward. So the same information will be communicated at some point in time when you need to have your system configured. The e-learning system will send you an email that tells you for this particular course, for this particular module, because the course is divided in modules. For these particular modules, you need your system configured, and therefore, there's a link here that will now take you to the same scheduling link, and then you can be able to schedule your time. So you can come here directly, or you can wait for that email to come at some point in time. Good. So that is on the consultancy. And this is also the same place for those of you that maybe would be interested on one-on-one. So we have a one-on-one sessions for people doing their thesis, masters, and PhD. So for the people who want those one-on-one, where Essentially, we are learning as we are examining your topic. More or less the kind of thing that you do with your supervisor, what's your topic, what's your objectives. We are able to look at I'm able to look at what you've written for your statement of the problem, and we're able to discuss. So if you are interested in the same, in those kind of, discussion, this is also the same place you come and purchase the same. And once you do that, the system again will send you the communication. So we've tried as much as possible to automate whatever process we can be able to automate to make it easy as we interact across Africa. So this is the same place where we're going to come and, book for those kind of sessions. Then we have the e-repository, right? And the e-repository has a lot of materials in respect to research. So for the books, we have around 1,849. These are free books. Remember, we said on e-books, they are for sales. The ones that are on e-books are for sale. The ones that are on the repository, they are free of charge. And that's why you had me mention for the people doing the data analysis, you'll be given two choices. There is a book that is free. You are told, okay, this book is free. You can get it on e-repository. But then there's also the other one that is being sold, and you can get it on ebook. So the choice is yours, depending on whether you have budget, availability. What's the difference? All these books are good. The only difference is the one here are mostly Western, Western book, right? So the ones that you will find on ebooks have been done by African scholars, maybe customized for the African audience. So that could be the difference. But at the end of the day, all of them end up, training on the same thing. So when you come to the e-learning, when you come to the e-repository, right, you can use the search bar to look for what you are interested in. So for example, if you are interested with research methods, you can come and click there, and it's going to display to you the books that are available for research methods, right? So like now, all these books, they have research methods. So Robert Yin, for example. Then you double click on it. You double click on the book of interest, case study research design and method, applied social research methods series, right? Then you're able to click, once you see this link, you're able to click on it, and the books opens up, right? So the full-length book opens up, and you can be able to download it on your end and utilize it the way you want to utilize it. So we are saying you can come to this particular place. You are able to put your keyword dependent on what you are interested in. For the members that are doing data analysis, I've already given you specific books that you need to come here and download. So all you need to do is to come and put either the author of the book or the book title there, and you search for it, right? And then you download it the way I have been able to demonstrate, right? For the other members, the other option, the other way of using the book, the e-repository, is looking for a category that you are interested in. So for example, you can see all the things about houses have been put together, right? So this is like a folder. It's a community of household dynamics. So if that's what you are interested in, you click on it, and then it tells you the many things available for you. Like now, the members who are doing writing, I would expect that they would be interested in this. The search engine for the Kenyan government reference materials, if you are in Kenya, for the Ghana, Nigeria, and so on, this could be search engines. These are dedicated search engines, right? To be able, by ourselves, to be able to look for Kenyan academic reference materials strictly, and they are free of charge. So you can be able to explore them, see what they are all about, right? So you're able to pick a particular category. research method, research software, journal publishing, and statistics book. So when you click on it again, you can be able to see the sub-communities that are within this many community, big community, and then we're able to check what is my interest and be able to narrow down on that. So this is an e-repository like the one you typically have in your own university, for those of you in universities where there are e-repositories, which is more or less a standard thing across the universities. So we've now understood e-repository on where to get all those research method books that you are interested in. Then we have events. These are upcoming activities. So like now, when we have those facilitator-led session, all of them will be updated here. So like now you are seeing we have a facilitator-led session on 24th of February, right? So once I am done, all your events for both courses will be updated. So within the course of the week, I'm going to update all the events that we are going to have for the data analysis in the next 8 months, for the writing in the next 6 months. So all those activities, all those events when we need to meet are going to be updated at this particular point. So like now you can see for the continuing group, you can see we already have module 4 that is scheduled for when? 24th of February, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. This time zone, the e-learning system will detect where you are based on your browser and be able to give you the local time. Whatever the local time will be then, it's going to give you local time. So for some of you, it's going to be 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. For some of you, it's going maybe to be 12 p.m. to maybe 4 p.m. So the system detects where you are and accordingly gives you time based on your locality. So it's very good to understand that this is where you're going to get all of them for the purposes of scheduling, right? And then you can click on detail and you can be able to see what is expected or what will be taught or what will be learned for that particular event. So you can be able to see local time and so on and so forth, right? And for those of you using the calendar, Google Calendar, you can be able to add the event to your Google Calendar so that it reminds you when that time comes. So you're able to sync it to your Google Calendar, right? And it displays the time length remaining or the period remaining until that particular event. I hope that's clear. So these are going to be updated. The e-learning system will also normally send you an email alerting you of the same. So you can be able to come to the events, see all the events, right? But the e-learning system at some point in time, maybe a week before the event or something like that, is going to email you to remind you or to tell you or to formally invite you that we are going to have this particular session. And you can be able to see all the many events scheduled, whether it is daily, whether it is weekly, whether it is monthly, and so on and so forth, right? So it's critical to note that within the week, all the events that we shall have for the 2 courses will be updated at this particular point. Good. Then news is news, like now, anything that is newsworthy. So for example, like now today we've met. So that is a news. We could put that as news and it can be, updated there. Someone was saying they are not able to see what I'm presenting. How many of us are not seeing anything being presented? Just raise your hand. Who is not seeing, apart from us here, so that we know whether it's a machine or it's all of us? If you're not seeing the screen, just raise your hand so that I know it's an isolated issue or it's all of us. I think most of the rest of the members, seems to be able to see the machine, to be able to see the projection. So probably it's something on your laptop or something. Just check on it. Okay. Then these two areas, scholarship essentially means that it's scholarship. So I don't want us to spend time on it, but I want us to spend time on these two dynamics, my dashboard and community, because that's where you shall be spending a lot of your time. Let's understand what a community means. Most of you, some of you could be on Facebook, right? Where you are able to interact with your peers and you are able to chat, you are able to post things on Facebook, you are able to send photos, videos, and things like that. Others have a private Facebook-like functions. So within this community, it has something like Facebook, where you can be able to interact with members. You can be able to interact with members. You can follow somebody. You can befriend somebody. You can block somebody who you don't want to talk to you. So all the things you typically do on a social media function platform, you can be able to do it at OUSAS. So it's going to have several groups within OUSAS. Now, one of the groups that all of you will be in is the alumni group for the course. So shortly, all of you within the week, I'm going to send you an invite for you to join the alumni group for the course that you are undertaking, or the alumni community. So you will hear me using the word community and group interchangeably. And we shall be able to see shortly how to operate on that community. But all of you will get an invite to the course alumni group. What's the function? The function is that's where you shall post your portfolio of competency, so that the rest of the members can be able to see what you've done in respect to a particular sort of exercise. So that's where your portfolio of competencies will be posted, because there's also the social learning, so that the members can see what you've done, and you can also see what they have done, and you can be able to comment, you can be able to compare and contrast how you attempted the exercise vis-a-vis how the other person attempted the exercise. It is also where we shall be asking questions. Whenever you have a question, you shall be asking it in the course alumni group, because the response could either come from me, the response could come from your cohort, the people you are running with today, and the response could come from other members who have undertaken the course in the past, because that's why it is a course alumni. All of them ought to be there. So that the whole idea, this is what it is supposed to do in an ideal situation, is that if you've undertaken a course on writing, and you've been exposed to all these many things, mentally, mass downloading, and all these many things, right? If you could be able to interact with other members who have gone through the same course, it means that even when you're asking a question, you're asking to a quote unquote a pool of experts, people who have undergone through the same course and exposed to the same materials, and therefore you are likely to get a better response compared to if you ask it generally, so that you are asking about mass downloading and someone first starts asking you what is mass downloading because they've not been through the course. Or you're asking about process macro and someone has not been exposed to process macro, and we're asking you, so what is process macro? So the whole idea is we ought to use that alumni groups essentially for that kind of interaction. Now, let me talk about community generally. In community generally, you would typically have communities that are open to members. They are open to everybody. Like now we have one huge community for all of us. Shortly, within the next 1 to 2 weeks, we shall have country communities, so that we shall have Team Zambia, Team Kenya, Team Ghana, and all these many countries. And all the Kenyans could join that, all the Zambians could join their group, all the Ghanaians could join their group, so that they can discuss or interact on things at that particular level. And we are going to be open group, meaning that you can join any if you want. Right? Then, so those are open groups, and we shall also have open groups by disciplines, strategic management, education sciences, and so on and so forth. So one type of group is open. Any member can join it. Then we also have closed groups, where it is me as an administrator that can add you. So you cannot just join it. So we're going to have one for lecturers. It is going to be a closed group that you will need to be added by an admin to that particular group, so that there is an element of who is in this particular group. So we shall have one for lecturers, put them together. We also want to have one group for the members in NGO consultancy world. The members who are doing research in the NGO sector. So we shall want to have a closed group where you will need to be added, having met certain criteria. So for the lecturer, for example, we could say, we want you to be in your university website so that we can verify that indeed you are a lecturer, for example. So those are closed groups, yeah, that where you might want to restrict the members that are there. And in closed groups, when you log in on the community, you will be able to see them there. And you can even click you want to permission to join. And then the admin will either admit you or not admit you. Those are closed groups. Then we also have secret groups. Like now, your course alumni group is going to be a secret group. The secret group means it is not listed in the community. It's only the members in that group, when they log in into their profile, that they can be able to see that particular group, and they can be able to see the activities in that particular group. So it is not even listed in the community. The closed group, you can see it there, but you cannot join. You cannot see the activities in it, but you can see there is a group called XYZ. But if you are not a member, you cannot be able to see what conversation is going there. But for the secret group, it's not even listed. So all course alumni groups are secret groups. It's only the members who are in those groups, when they log in, that they can see the group. The rest of the members, when they log in, they will not even be aware that such a group exists. So that's what groups are all about, right? And shortly I shall be able to log in, and we shall be able to, see some of these things practically. Then we have my dashboard. My dashboard is where the allocated costs, the costs that have been allocated to you, you shall see them under my dashboard. The certificates, the e-learning system offers you a certificate. So if you don't do your portfolio, we are not going to give you a certificate. So it offers a certificate of participation. So if you skip the lessons, it's also not going to give you the certificate, because it's automated. It's not me saying don't give X. It is the system using its own intelligence being able to know X did not undertake this particular item. X, the minutes that have been spent on this X, on this particular lesson X did not really go through this. So it's not me denying you, it is the system denying you. So the system is able to check some of those things. It's also able to check the members that are sharing passwords. Sometimes I find a report and a report comes on a weekly basis. This person is sharing this one, and as an admin on the system, I have a capacity to block, though so far is not blocked anyone, but it checks on those kind of things, right? So for the members that are skipping, the lessons, then the system, when the course is about to expire and we need to be able, or the system needs to offer you the certification, then at that point, it doesn't offer you the certification that you indeed participated in this particular course. Okay. Now, someone is asking the purpose of grouping. This is the whole idea. This is the whole idea. We shall have one huge group. There's one huge group for all of us, where we'll be able to discuss things general and things that cut across board, right? But then there are things that don't cut across board. The people in strategic management, there are things they might want to discuss that relates to strategic management, and the people in finance are not interested. In essence, the conversations that we have on WhatsApp groups, for example, there is a certain depth that we cannot achieve because we are not a homogeneous group. We are not one homogeneous group. In that WhatsApp group, like now what we have on WhatsApp group, it's not one homogeneous group because you have people from finance, you have lecturers there, you have people from NGO wide, you have people who are at masters, some are at doctorate, some are lecturing, and so on. So it's not really a homogeneous group. And when you don't have a homogeneous group, there is a depth that you can't achieve. Because at any given time when you need to post something, you need to ask yourself, does the issue I'm raising cut across board? Right? But think of it this way. If there was a group there's one main group, and those main groups will still continue being there. Right? But think of it this way. If there is a group for people or members in strategic management, what does it mean? It means they can get deeper into issues of strategic management. It means they can bond more because all of them have one unique characteristic, that all of them are undertaking strategic management. If you have members that are in the phase of data analysis, that's where they are. So there's something common about them that they could be able to have in-depth dynamics. If you segregate members by country, for example, there are those things that are unique to Kenyans. Some Kenyans are thinking about them that may not necessarily be bothering someone in Uganda. There are things in Uganda that are not necessarily bothering someone in Kenya. For example, the local regulatory issues in respect to research. So that is the rationale. Remember, the groups will be optional to join. It's not something that you must be in any of them. It's a choice really that one would be, but that's the rationale. Right? So that we could have one huge group, we discuss the many issues that cut across board, but then I'm also thinking that we could also have those subgroups. Fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of things we are doing in our search, we really don't have a benchmark. So like now, even amongst the contacts that I have, I ask them, do you have a community in your e-learning? There is no community. So I also don't have somewhere to benchmark across, right? And that presents both an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is you become a pioneer, for example. The disadvantage is you do all the experimentation because some of these things, they are essentially experimentation. You don't know whether it's going to work or it's not going to work. But for you to know, you have to try, right? For you to know, you have to try. That becomes, so those are some of the unique challenges that essentially the platform presents. So unless someone here tells me in their university they have a community and maybe they're able to share how it's working in their university, but so far those are the challenges that I'm facing. But we really do seem to have communities within the university. So even for us, when it is time to benchmark, we have nowhere to benchmark. We have nowhere to learn from where we can be able to know, oh, University X has this thing in their website where all the members for this particular course are able to interact, right, in a Facebook-like environment, because you can post photos, you can post images, you can tag someone, you can befriend someone, you can block someone, all the many things that you do in a Facebook. So that is the challenge. So even for me, I don't know whether it's going to work or it's not going to work, but the best or the least that I can do is to try, right? But the rationale really is to try and also get homogeneous groups. And those homogeneous groups, you can only achieve them in three ways. Number one is the country dynamics. You can have Kenyans together, Zambians together, Ghanaians together, Nigerians together, so that we discuss the country level dynamics together and they interact at that level. Then you can also have the discipline dynamics, so that you can put the finance people together, the education people together, the strategic management people together, and so on and so forth. That becomes maybe another way of achieving homogeneity. Then you could also decide to go another way of grouping people based on, the level where they are at, right? There are people who are doing their proposal writing, so they are primarily interested about writing and plagiarism and citations. Those are the things that are, and topic, whether the topic is okay, statement, those are the things really bothering them. But the person at the data analysis has already gone through that particular phase. So there's something else bothering them. Then you try achieving through that kind of, dynamics. You could also explore by whether these people are students, they are lecturers, they are NGOs. So this, at the end of the day, is experimentation. You try your best, you think it through, see whether it can work. Then you implement. If it works, then you keep on working on it. If it doesn't, you go back to the drawing board. But as I have mentioned, one of the challenges that we are facing is a lack of, places to really benchmark, because even the members that my entire contacts that I have within academia, the entire of it, none of their universities are doing community, right? So I don't know whether there is any member in this particular group where in their university they are doing community, and then maybe I could be able to engage them and hear what their experiences has been. But as I have mentioned, that's one of the greatest challenge. So on my dashboard, I have mentioned it's where you shall have your courses, your enrolled courses. The courses that have also expired will also be listed there, and your certification, you will also be able to access them from my dashboard. So in a nutshell, that's what houses look like, and that's how the e-learning system is supposed to be utilized. So before I log in, if there is anyone with a question where you are lost, this is the time to ask. Where you are lost, this is the time to ask. Before now, I log in and we are able to see how it works. Good. So let's now log into the system. There are two ways of logging into the e-learning system, right? You can be able to click on the login. It's very prominently displayed on the very top, and you can click on login, right? And it takes you to the access gateway to e-learning communities and groups, right? So you can be able to come and populate. So whatever I want to do, you can be able to come and populate, put in your credentials, and the credentials here could be your username, if you remember it. If you don't remember it, you put your email address that you used essentially to create your profile. Then you log in. So that is one way of logging in into the system, right? And once you log in, two things are going to happen. The first login is going to be replaced with your name. So you can see, like now, the username that has logged in is OurSAS testing. So this is what I use for testing, all right? It's OurSAS testing. So that was one way of logging in. The other way for logging in is clicking on my dashboard. So let me demonstrate that. So if you are on OurSAS, for example, you could also click my dashboard without having first clicked on login. And because you are not logged in, the system will prompt you to log in. All right. So we are saying at this particular point, I had an option of going to login. And when you log in through this option, by default, it's going to take you to community. That's the home page. When you log in using this option, it's going to take you to community. But I also had an option of clicking in my dashboard. And because I am not logged in, it tells me what? To populate my credentials. So we've said there are two ways. You can click login and you can click my dashboard, and it gives you this particular option. Now, when you log in by default, where do you go? Community. You can see the community is active. I don't know if you can see that. It's active. So it takes you to community. So this is a timeline, like what you typically have on your Facebook. Just something blank that you now need if you want to interact. Like now you can see someone, Zambo, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it the right way, was able to log in at some point in time, that is 2 days ago, and be able to post something. So I can come here, for example, and like, or let me look at, there are all these many things that are typically there. So let's just like it, that we are happy about what she has said. And we can be able to type whatever we feel. So I can say thank you and welcome, right? And we post. So you can be able to do that kind of things that you can on this timeline. So this is a timeline for everybody. This is a community for the entire groups. The entire of us who are on this particular system. You can explore the other things. You can type photos, images, more or less the things that you typically do on Facebook, right? You can also see members. When you click on this, you can be able to see members and their profiles. You can see members and their profile. Ideally, this is what we are trying to achieve, right? Though it's a little bit of a challenge, but this is what we are trying to achieve. We are trying to have something like a Facebook, but of academics, so that members can be able to interact. The person who is doing PhD today in strategic management, 10 years from now, what are they doing? They are now doctors, they are in PwC, they are in World Bank, they are in all these many places doing consultancies and in charge of huge budgets and so on. Can these people interact at this point in time? Can you be able to say we met at our houses? So that's the whole idea. If you are doing a topic on X, Y, Z, and someone else is more or less doing other things, you can collaborate. That's the whole idea of a community. Right? So I want you to explore that. And when you come here to this particular homepage, there are all these many things that you can be able to see. You can be able to have friends, followers. You can even be able to blog. At Alsas, you can blog. Right? And when you click on blog and you blog, where is it going to appear? When you go to the homepage, under news, where we have news, when you blog, it's going to appear under news and on the homepage of Alsas. So it's quite a rich, quite a rich activities that essentially you can be able to do, right? But let's go to groups, because that is of interest to us. Let's go to groups. And this is where we are saying we're going to have a course alumni group. So under groups, you're going to see the course alumni group. So all of you, I'm going to invite you to the groups. When I invite you, what will you see? Where we have these are, you can see this something that looks like an envelope, right? So it's going to be active. It's for messages. When someone also messages you, it's going to come here. So we're going to see it highlighted in yellow, showing you that you have one unread message and so on. So when you go to groups, you can see, for example, we have a secret group, right? Integrated statistics and data analysis. You can see the members that are already. So this is a secret group. If you're not in this group, you're not going to see it in the first place, right? You can see the PhD course alumni group, the members that are there so far, 14 of them. You can see MS Word alumni group, the members who are there so far, 50 of them, right? You can see mentoring referencing. This seems to be very popular. You can see 163 members in it. So this one is going to be populated based on, and you can see this is a secret group. This is an open group, meaning that any member, for example, could join if they are interested in joining. These secret groups, you're only going to see them if you've already been included in those particular groups. So when you get to the groups, what will you see? It gives you the same timeline where you can be able to post content, you can be able to write, you can be able to chat, right? You can be able to see who else is in that group. So it gives you a timeline. The same case, like the timeline you would typically have on, like the timeline that you typically have on Facebook. So you can be able to type, you can be able to discuss, ask questions, and so on. This is the same place we shall be posting the portfolio of competencies. So this is how a portfolio of competency looks like. So you can see 2 months ago, Julia Nganga portfolio of competencies, reference sourcing skills, right? And we can see what she did.
I go to site.
So she was demonstrating.
Then I choose to go. And then I search.
She was demonstrating essentially on how to do reference sourcing because she's been taken through reference source. And this is where we are really struggling. Members creating their portfolios. Members are not creating their portfolios of competency. So you're not very sure whether they are getting the skills that has been taught. But ideally, that's what ought to happen. You ought to undertake the exercises as you are recording them on your Zoom, as you are undertaking the exercises, right? That was supposed to happen. So that now members ideally are also supposed to come and comment. Like now you can see it's only authors that commented,
So many results.
right? It's only authors
I
that
go to tool here.
commented on what is happening, right? So members ideally are also meant to comment so that you're able to give the person feedback on how they've been able to do and where they could improve and so on and so forth. So that is on the community. Let's go to my dashboard. And we've said community is where we shall be doing interactions, right? Is where we shall be asking questions if you want to ask questions. Is where we shall be posting our portfolio of competencies and so on and so forth. So when you come to my dashboard, this is how it looks like. So all the courses that have been assigned to you or that you are enrolled will appear here. Now, how is this course enrolled? How do you enroll? There are two ways of enrolling. Number one is the manual enrollment. Like now, most of you did a manual enrollment, meaning that you submitted the money manually to my end, and I manually enrolled the course to your end. I allocated it to your dashboard. However, ideally, what should be happening? Ideally, members should be going to e-courses, and they look for the course of interest, and then they purchase. And the system will auto-enroll them. And the item comes here, and we can start learning. So the enrollment that we did was manual. So for example, if you are interested in any other course, all you need to do is to come and purchase it, and it's going to be auto-enrolled to your dashboard. And you can see active courses, completed courses, and so on and so forth. Now, on this course, you can see there are already 70 pre-recorded videos that you need to watch, and it is telling you 0% complete, meaning that so far, this user has not undertaken any course, any module or any learning. So what you need to do, you click on Start Learning, so that now you access the materials. And I want us to look at this interface so that we understand what it is all about. Depending on your physical device, because depending on your machine, on your physical device size, the screen size, some of you will be on tablets, some of you will be on a desktop, maybe 14-inch, someone of you is on 21-inch. So dependent on how big your screen is, it determines on how the system arranges the components. So all of us may not see them displayed in the same manner, dependent on the screen that they are using. So for example, right now, I am on a desktop as we speak. Right? So on one end, we have the course content. And in this course content, you can be able to see the modules. The modules are in navy blue. So you can see settling down, for example, research reference material sourcing skills. So these are the modules that are in navy blue. When you click on this arrow, it opens up and you can see the specific lessons that are in sky blue. So we are saying there is a module in navy blue, and then we are saying there are lessons, individual lessons for that module in sky blue. Right? So I hope that is clear. So in this, it means, like now I have seen For the members that I have seen, I can already see where the interest is. A lot of members that so far are on the lighting course, I'm seeing a lot of them are already here. So they have been able to come here and double click here, and they are able to listen to what the module is all about. Right? Ideally, the expectation is that you'll be able to watch the video sequentially. But if, for example, you are interested in a particular section, nothing prevents you going there and double clicking on it, and it's going to play. Then we have the display here, which is where we have the recorded item at this particular point. We have the display here. Now, this one will autoplay by default. This will, when you click on it and say start learning, this will autoplay by default, right? So,
hello and welcome to
right?
Africa.
However, because we don't want to watch it in this environment, you double click on it so that it displays as full size. So we are saying, instead of watching it this small screen, you double click on it and it's going to display as full screen. It's going to occupy your entire screen, and now it becomes easy for you to watch because, again, you don't see all these many things. To achieve the same, you could also come at this particular point and click on it again, right? So you can see these arrows, to extend and to get it back, right? You can also use this one to improve on the quality of the video, so you can be able to see high definition, standard definition, and so on and so forth. So you double click on it, and then you're able to
School of Applied Research
to play. Now, you will not be able to download. These videos are not downloadable. So the videos, you can watch them where they are, but you can't download them. So that is one thing to note. It's also good to note that the course that we have comes with an expiry date. Right? So the course is meant to, for the writing, it's meant to expire in 6 months. What does expiring means? It means after 6 months, you will not be able, nothing will be allocated here on your course available. Right? Nothing will be allocated on the course available after the 6 months are done. So that's something to note. And that is very important for that someone who could be extremely busy, meaning that you paid for the course is supposed to run for 6 months, so you can see here. So after 6 months, you're not going to access, this one will not be available. The system automatically captures the time. So it's not someone who will sit down and remove access for you. It is the system on its own that's going to send you an email that the course has expired. And typically what happens when the system, when it is 6 months, because of the way the system has been programmed, when you now try to log in after 6 months, that's the time it tells you, oh, this particular course has expired. So we really need to be able to take time, essentially, to undertake the learning. Now, for all of us, for all of you, I'm going to refresh your profile because now we didn't know this. So it means there are some tweaks, for example, that has been spent, right? So within the course of next week, for all the members, the new cohort, not the old cohort, for all the members that have enrolled now, right? I'm going to refresh your profile, meaning that you're going to get another welcome pack. That's the same way when you got a welcome for this. So it's going to start running again so that the time that now, for example, 2 weeks, because we started this, there are some people who paid as far back as 3 weeks ago, meaning that for them, almost 1 month is spent. So for all of you, this new cohort for both data analysis and writing, right? And for everybody in data analysis, I'm going to refresh it within the course of next week so that it now starts counting the time from next week when I refresh it. Now, because you now know what is going to happen within that particular period. Now, outside is going very shortly. Some members have always asked me, no, you know, my degree program, I'm going to be there for 3 years. I would want to have access to the system for 3 years. I would want to have access to the system for this course for 1 year, for 2 years, for 4 years, and so on. And that is perfectly okay. The challenge that essentially it boils down is the issues of costing, right? The challenge is the issue of costing in this particular way, that we want the cost to be available, but we also want it to be sustainable. We want it to be affordable to members, but we want it to be also the system, the entire system is sustainable, right? So that it's able to meet its own bills and running and so on. So what is going to happen shortly within this particular quarter, that is within March and April, we're also going to have a sub-domain for membership. So that instead of this PhD candidate, for example, paying for a single course, let's say a writing course, that we're able to access it for 6 months, can they maybe subscribe? Where we can say, I want a 1-year subscription, and for this 1-year subscription, I can be able to get XYZ. Or I want a monthly subscription, and for this monthly subscription, I'm able to get XYZ basket of services. So that's going to is being formulated, and these things we run simultaneously. At the end of the day, all we want to do is to provide choice, because now when you get a subscription, the price there would tend to be a little bit higher maybe than purchasing a course, because you are saying you have access to this thing for 2 years, for example, for 3 years, for example. So the pricing there is going to be a little bit on a higher side than if you are purchasing maybe a single course. So that at the end of the day, there's going to be all these many different permutations of options, so that dependent on the student, they can be able to see where do they fit best based on their time, consideration, maybe finances, and all those kind of things. So we've said start learning. Now, in this start learning, there's something that is supposed to happen. And you can see here on the very top, it is said mark as complete. You will see your progress. So like now it is saying my progress is 0%. Right? Ideally, what is supposed to happen is after I watch the entire of this video and it transits to the next video, right? This percentage ought to increase so that it mentions that I'm 1% done, 2% done, and so on. So sometimes if that doesn't happen and you go to the next video, just mark it manually as complete. It's supposed to be automated, but if it doesn't happen, mark it as complete manually. What is marking? What is the implication of something, of you leaving something not complete? Remember the issue of certification. One of the criteria it's going to check on its own is that all the courses are complete, all the lessons are complete. So that will be one of the criteria. So for it to auto-generate the certificate, because the certificates are auto-generated by the system on its own. So one of the criteria it's going to check is that the item are complete. In other words, this will need to have moved from 0 to 100%. So I'm saying the system ought to update on its own. If you notice you've moved 2-3 videos and you are still at 0%, then what you might, one option you might have is marking it as complete. Good. Someone is asking where will they get the assignments from? The assignments will come on your email. So someone is saying, assuming one starts now, when you refresh next week, with this record of modules done, remain it. No, when I refresh next week, it's as if you are starting afresh. So I'm just hoping we are not members that have been disadvantaged by that. It's as good as you are starting afresh. Right? So if you had already gone maybe to 15%, then it's as if I'm taking you back to 0% for you to restart all over. But as I've mentioned, you can just mark them as complete as you go. Someone could be wondering, if we are done with module 1 this week, right, and we have maybe progressed to module 2, they could be asking themselves, will I still be able to access module 1, the content for module 1? The answer is yes. You'll be able to access the content for module 1 as long as it is within these 6 months. So as long as you are within this 6 months window, you can be able to access whatever modules or whatever content is there. Right? Ideally, there's what is ideal situation, yeah? The ideal situation is that these modules need to be worked, sequentially. That's the ideal situation, right? So that you know how to download materials, you know how to do citations, you know how to do all these many things, right? What is going to happen is, because there's this cohort, and there is the already existing cohort that now they are on module 4. For them, we've already done entire of 1, 2, and 3. So we are on module 4, which we are meeting next Saturday to revise on module 4. The e-learning system will also invite you to that particular session. Right? The e-learning system will invite you you are in cohort number 2, but let's say cohort number 1 is already, like now the cohort that is with you, we are here. So we just have about 2 more modules to go. Right? So for age of logistics, what is going to happen? What is going to happen is next Saturday, for example, with that particular cohort, we have the revision for this Microsoft customization skills for research work. Then maybe in another 3-4 weeks, we are going to progress to this. Then in another maybe so much, we are going to progress to this. Now, you're also going to get invites for these particular sessions. Right? You're going to get invites for this particular session, and it is up to you whether you want to attend or you don't want to attend. However, you shall still have your own sessions for them at some point in time, maybe 3 or 4 months from now. So in essence, when we make the events, because I have said I'm going to amend, to update the event, how are the events going to be? The expectation is that right now, you are learning on where to source for references, or you'll be starting on this particular module, right? For the next maybe 1 month or so. And as we are doing that, for the continuing module, we'll be continuing with this, which we are saying with this 1 month or so, as we are continuing with this, nothing stops you from attending, because the e-learning system will still invite you to those particular sessions and you can attend. However, your particular sessions will also have been scheduled to come at a point in time, right? Just the same case, when we start working on this module, when we have a facilitator for this module, the members who are in the first cohort and they had already sort of gone through this module, if they still want to participate in that particular facilitator-led session, the e-learning system will still send them, an invite. In other words, all the invites to the e-learning from the e-learning system are sent to people who are currently enrolled at that point in time. And that's why for those of you who are already on the writing skills, you must have received so many emails. You must have received so many emails in the last 1 or 2 weeks from us telling you this or telling you that and so on, right? So when you refresh your profile, the next invite you are likely to get is for this particular one, and it's going to be written, it is for the first cohort, but as I mentioned, it is MS Word. You can even decide to come and take this so that you are able to sort of participate. But if you want to skip that one, no worries. Another time will come for you when it is now scheduled for your particular cohort. I hope that's clear. So until that time when you shall see, you've been invited for this module 1. And as I have mentioned, the invites are auto-generated. So all I need to do is to set the AI on so that it knows on what time to send, which is now what I'm going to do. The better part of next week, that's what I shall be doing as I am updating the events, so that now, when your time comes, you're going to be invited for what? For the research reference materials, sourcing skills. I hope that is clear. Someone is saying it will be good to get messages after the reset is done. Yes, when I reset the system, what is going to happen? Maybe we need to discuss what's going to happen when the system is reset. You remember when I enrolled you the very first time, what happened? You received a receipt for money received. So all of you received, ours has received 200 USD, for example. So that's the first email you received. Then you received a welcome pack. Welcome to this course. This course is about X, Y, Z, and so on. So that's the same thing that is going to happen when I reset. So you're going to receive almost the same sequence of activities. The only difference will be, right now you could have received so many emails around the same time, and that is deliberate. That is deliberate, so that if you have not been receiving emails, then I would know there's something you've not done. Remember the first email you received when you enrolled at ours, it showed you on how to ensure our emails don't go to spam. So it means if you've not been receiving our emails on your normal email, not on spam, if you've not been receiving, it means there's something you've not done. So that is deliberate, just to be able to test that your email system is essentially sort of working. But that is essentially what is going to happen. And then also on the group, I'm going to mention that now the system has been, but I'm going to mention that the system have been refreshed for all the members. Right? Good. So I think we are done on that particular issue. So we now know how to navigate through the system. We now know about the modules. We now know at some point in time when we need to modify our computers, what we need to do, and so on. And the similar thing for the members undertaking data analysis, right? So I don't know whether there is a question. I don't know whether there is any question, any clarification, anything that is not clear. For those members who are here and maybe they are yet to make their payments, then we are now officially starting. So this would be the time. We are also going to disband the groups that we had created for logistics preparation, because now we're done with the logistics, right? We're done with the logistics. So everything else will come on what? Will come on your email. All these many communications will come to your email. I'm also saying I'm going to update the events so that all those many facilitator-led sessions are there. And we're going to update the events for both data analysis and the writing, right? So now the expectation is that each member is undertaking what? Is undertaking module 1. So module 1 has already been loaded. So each of you is undertaking module 1. Even for the data analysis, module 1 is already there. So we need to undertake module 1. And then maybe within another 3 or so weeks, when we are done with module 1 and we are able to have a facilitator-led, discuss and so on, then we are done with that. We progress like that until the entire course is done. For the members in data analysis, I know there is a question on where do they get what we are calling process macro. The Professor Andrew F. Hill's process macro. So you shall be shown on how to install it on your SPSS. So the assumption is you have SPSS as a software, right? So you shall be shown on how to install your process macro into your SPSS, software, right? However, I also normally give an option for those members who want it done for them. So that is possible, but then at a small charge of about 15 USD. So I don't know how much that is in the local currencies. However, in the e-learning, it shall be demonstrated to us on how to install, to access and install the process macros. Good. So let me have any arising questions, any place where it's not clear. Any place, anything not clear? All of us by now, and I mentioned this, and I mentioned it severally, if you log into your dashboard and you're not seeing a course allocated to you and you made your payments, then it's going to be, you need to alert me. If you're not seeing this enrolled course, there must be something here. If you're not seeing anything here, then there is a challenge. It means the course has not been allocated to you. That's what it means. So if you made your payments and you're not seeing anything at this particular point, then there is a challenge. You also need to confirm you have the right course allocated to it, just in case maybe when I was doing the manual allocation, you are writing that I allocated for you the data analysis course, or you are doing data analysis course and I allocated you the writing course. So you just need to confirm that indeed what you have been allocated to you is the right course for you. Good. So if there is no any arising question, then for me is to issue the very best. So we are saying each one of us now should be start learning on module 1, which has been allocated for both the courses, right? To start learning on module 1. I have also mentioned that within the week, I'm going to refresh your system so that it starts counting afresh. You are not disadvantaged by the time that has elapsed. Then I'm also saying, I'm also going to update the events so that you can see them in one go. It's not a guessing game. You can be able to see, oh, in March we shall have this, in May we shall have this, in this other time we shall have this. Then we've said, when we have sessions, we shall record. So let me show you this so that it becomes very clear. Let me show you there. So when you look at the
Hello and welcome to African Online.
when you look at the courses, initially we used to put the Zoom recording inside the modules. But when we had the last session with the previous cohort, they said they prefer we create as a separate module something we are calling Zoom recording, and you can see them here, all of them there. So what I'm going to do is, on this particular course, I'm going to get all this Zoom recording, right? And put them under what? Under Zoom recording. Today's session, whatever we've discussed, the entire of today, where are you going to get it? You're going to get it under Zoom recording. So it's going to be written Zoom recording for session held when? Today is 17th of February 2024, right? And the title for it, then it's going to be placed somewhere here. It's going to be uploaded somewhere here. So that now when you need to make reference to it, then what will you do? You will come here. Now, there is a distinct difference between Zoom recordings and the content that is here. This content that is here is custom made for the module. So they are typically very short and very detailed, right? The Zoom recording are going to be lengthy. So you can see them 1 hour, 40 minutes, 2 hours, 30 minutes, and so on. And maybe whatever we've had is maybe 1 hour and a half or so. So the Zoom recording are going to be very lengthy. This Zoom recording, whatever we normally discuss in Zoom recording, has been taught somewhere along here. Because Zoom recording, as I've mentioned, we are revising, we are discussing, we are taking questions, and so on. So you will go to Zoom recording and you'll be able to see today's session, whatever we have today, is going to be put at that particular point. Good. So if there is a question, this would be the time to ask a question. Someone is asking me if they have a friend, whether they can join now that we had a group discount, whether they can still join us. Yes, they can still join us as long as it is today, because now come Monday, I just want to be done with this cohort so that now we can plan for another cohort, maybe in 2 or 3 months' time or 4 months' time, thereabout. So if still your friend is still wanting to join, then they need to join today, because today when we are finalizing with this, we're also going to disband. Once I'm done with this conversation, I'm just going to go to the WhatsApp group and start, getting people out of it so that we close it and we now start planning, and that would mark the end of the logistics for the course. Good. So unless there is any question, then for me is to wish you happy learning, to wish you the very best. Let's make the best of this. At our side, we also welcome feedback. Remember, I have mentioned the challenges that are there even with benchmarking, right? A lot of challenges are there. So we also welcome feedback where you are facing challenges navigating. You let us know so that we're able to look at, is it an issue of maybe members are not aware where to go, or is it an issue of the design of the e-learning? So whenever you face a challenge, just be able to mention, I'm having a challenge here, then we are able to look at it and be able to see on how to go around the issue. And also the best practices you have in your university. Remember, we also say there is space for social learning, such that it's not cast in stone, right? It's not cast in stone. There's also what we've learned in our respective universities and respective countries. So you also bring it on board, best practices in other e-learnings and so on. You're able to say, okay, in our university, we have this, it's working very well for us. Could you consider it? And so on and so forth. So with those few remarks, then I want to wish each one of you the very best and have a good weekend ahead. Let's start planning. and let's keep on engaging. Otherwise, for now, goodbye and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Prof.